Okay, is this on? Hello everybody, good morning, and welcome to the public brunch elements of this festival forum, the Fast Forward Festival Forum. My name's Christy Roma. I'm the communication manager of the European Theatre Convention, which is a network of theatres in 30 countries, one of which is, of course, the Staatsschauspiel Dresden. And together with the Staatsschauspiel and two other theatres, the National Theatre of Greece, we have Yanis here with us today, and the National Theatre of Brittany, they came together to make this festival forum, which is a kind of accompaniment to the main program, the jury program, the young jury program, to bring together artists, educators, professors from different parts of Europe, different stages in their career, to discuss the creation of theatre and to really understand the different perspectives in how you get a sustainable theatre ecology specific for younger artists in the future. And I should say, yes, we have brunch at the back. Do feel free to help yourself to coffee at any point. We also have a live stream audience who I'd like to welcome as well. So it's quite an open discussion. We'll go around and introduce everyone by turn, talk about some of the things we've learned across these 4 days. And if you have any questions that you'd like to ask at any point, you can of course join in. I think the best thing for us to do, as it's all been a very open and participatory group, is just to pass the word to my colleagues to introduce themselves, to say who they are, where they come from, and a bit about their perspective on joining this festival forum. Chick, I'll pass to you.
Hello everyone, I'm Dimitris Tsikouras, but everybody calls me Tsik, and I'm from Greece. I'm a professional actor, but nowadays I'm a student on the Drama School of National Theatre of Greece. I'm a graduate year of the directing department, and when I learned that I will be participating in this forum, I was so excited because every time I'm getting bored, even for personal reasons, even for reasons of business, it's so my spiritual horizons are getting so much wider of what I'm every time seeing of other cultures. So I was so curious to learn about other countries, how things are working, and to get inspired from people that they are in the same road with me. We are at the same, we have the same visions about what are we doing. So that was I was really expected to see, and the truth is that it happened, and I'm really fascinated of this and happy.
Hello everyone. My name is Louis Atlan. I come from the National Theatre of Brittany, where I studied for 3 years as an actor. But the school, with the new direction, they are really opening us to a lot of different ways of practicing theatre and making our own theatre. So we've done a lot of performance, a lot of dance, and a lot of I don't know, a lot of stuff, a lot of acting also. So I finished acting. I graduated. I'm an actor, but I started to create my company with the friends to put on our own shows and try to, I don't know, develop an idea crossing between visual arts, plastic arts, and theater. And I worked also with people from Germany, and I was really curious when I saw the advertisement for the festival to see how things were done here. And that was basically the main thing. But now that I'm witnessing like all the European youth and all the European techniques and ways of entering the artistic monde, I'm really like opening eyes on every levels, and it's a real pleasure to be here.
Yes, so hi everyone, my name is Katarina Junugova. I am from Bratislava, Slovakia. I am the student of sector of dramaturgy, and I am also very into dance and dance theater. And what brought me here was like also the interest of European theater scene, and to see different productions, and mainly to meet young artists like you, and to get to know the conditions of different productions, different theaters, and and also to make or to have an experiences of the performances. So I am very glad to be here and to be in the forum and to live this.
Hello everyone, my name is Nathalie Rosenbaum. I'm currently studying directing in Berlin at the University of Performing Arts Ernst Busch. And I have a background in dance, so before I was working in the field of dance, especially dance education, and doing projects with youth theaters and schools in Berlin. And then I started studying directing, and now I'm at the end of my studies and on the edge of re-entering the professional life. And yeah, so I think it's a very great opportunity that we got here to share all the different perspectives in the Fast Forward Festival Forum.
Hello, my name is Mojca Madon. I'm a theater director based in Ljubljana, Slovenia. I'm currently finishing my master's in the Academy of Ljubljana. I came here to see, different shows from all around Europe and to meet other artists and to see different directing approaches to, performances.
My name is Matúš Benža and I'm representing the Academy of Performing Arts in Bratislava, Slovakia. And my background is not artistic. I've studied production management and culture policy. And I've joined the staff at I studied there, but I've joined the staff 5 years ago. And this year in January, I became the dean of the theater faculty. And for me, it was really important to come here and experience the world of young European theater, to get inspired, to share experiences also for me, to find a way how to support our students, our fresh graduates better in them entering the professional world of theater. So as a school, we have a tradition of 75 years and we're sort of used to doing things certain way, and I think the world has moved on and we have to move on as well. So I'm glad for this experience and for being able to share and see and discuss.
Hello everyone, my name is Filippo D'Angiu. I come from Romania, where I teach acting at the Theatre and Film Faculty of the University Babeș-Bolyai of Cluj-Napoca. And in 2019, I opened a theater with my former students, an 80 places theater called Maidan, like the Ukrainian movement. And this was our dream forever, as students, to open our own theater. Well, 20 years later, it was possible. And I came here in order to see models of educational models, production models, and to gather strength to keep our work as teachers and as theater productions, to keep our strength, because what we have witnessed here is something that really gives me strength and inspiration for the years to come. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Mihai Gligan. I'm a young theater director from Romania, and also I'm a master student at theater directing, of course. I'm here to meet new people, to try to understand how theater looks for other young theater makers in Europe, because I think that it's a very fluid and a very full of life art, and I'm very interested to just sit and talk and connect with other people, not to stay and read papers and think whatever they want. But I want just to connect with people, to talk about theater, to understand that, and then to, even in a perfect future, to make one international group of young theater makers, to share our ideas and to do some production together. And Eleni?
Hello everyone, thank you. So I am Eleni Efthymiou. I am a professional director and performer from Greece, and I'm also going to be the head of experimental stage of National Theatre for the year 2024 and 2025. And it's the second time I come here for a festival, this time without a performance, and this is something really interesting for me, to being part of such a group and live conversation. And I was really interested in watching performances from young directors from all over the Europe and see what young people are motivated by, and also discuss with young practitioners and see what are the problems and the goals and the inspirations that they have. And yeah, all these days were really creative for us, because we met every day and we started discussing about what are the different conditions in every different school that the people come from, and also we discussed about every performance that we saw, and we had the opportunity to discuss with the creators of them and have more input about the production conditions and see how different things can happen with different production levels. And I pass the word to somebody else who would like to speak about what things we discovered all these days together. Yeah.
So yes, I think there were, for us, I think we are the most rich spectators in this festival, because there were two trends. We watched the performances, but we got also to meet the producers and the directors. And I believe that the second experience as partners, the dialogue partners with them, was far more enriching sometimes than the performances. But because we got to really see the things from behind the scene, their history, the history of the performances. And I think this was one of the most exciting part of our journey together. Yeah.
One thing that I really appreciated throughout the days was that besides watching the performances with the Forum group, that we got to really discuss our perspectives from the different points in the industry that we are at right now, or that we have been also, and especially for like tricky questions of like, how can we address problems that are very vividly visible right now, from the different angles that we're having right now, like as a venue, as somebody who's involved in the educational system, as somebody who just went through the educational system. That was something that I felt it was really valuable, and that is, yeah, helping to create the future together and to understand the different perspectives from everyone. That was something that I really appreciated.
Also, seeing spectacles and shows from different nations and with different culture and different ways of doing theater, and then having the possibility to discuss the next day with people not coming all from the same countries, but sometimes from the same like areas or border countries. It was also a good way to, I don't know, change the perspective as a spectator. Whereas, for example, I know that there was a show in French yesterday, and it was really cool to have non-French seeing it and perceiving things that I was maybe too close to see and to realize. And the same way when we saw the show, for example, of our son, I was not witnessing maybe some things that in Romania, people were really more kind of, or really more used to see. So yes, it was a multi-horizontal way of discussing things.
And to see the different conditions through the countries and through the artists, and it gives me the comparison like to our country, and it very changed my mind, because we think about it like we have bad conditions about theater, but now I don't really think that.
It was also a part We remember in the beginning we didn't know which way should we take. And gradually we found out that making, like I remember Eleni once told us, let's address open questions, open-ended questions. And that helped us to find our own way, our own identity as a group in relation with the groups that came to confront us. And I think it was a nice opportunity for them to ask themselves some questions. So in the beginning, it was a little bit strained, the atmosphere. They thought we were going to feedback them, but we have decided not to feedback anyone, but among ourselves, of course, passionately, but to address them open questions that in a way reflected on us too. So it was very fun. It was very interesting to find the common ground. Though we came from different spaces and different educational background, it was very interesting to find the things that really make us part of the same community.
But at the same time that we had all those open questions, but some of the groups were really interesting to have feedback. So we were starting to give them feedback. The philosophy of the feedback also, it's something that we have to learn about it, how to use it, how to be really open to and honest about the feedback, to accept the feedback without any criticism, and to getting inspired from this. It's something that it really helps me to communicate, for my personal reasons. It's something that it's really needed to be even added to our schools as a lesson, the philosophy of feedback and how we are doing it.
And for me, it was also quite refreshing that we touched on the subject of failure in some of our conversations, because often failure is seen as something that's really bad, and we tend to only talk about the things that worked and that were great. But I think, sometimes failing at things, it's important for you to learning from it and moving on and being better in the future. So I also feel that as educators, we should also be able to talk openly about the hardships and when things didn't work out the way we wanted, because I think it might be also encouraging for our students, so they know at the university they're in a safe space and they can afford to fail in a way, but learn from it and grow from it. So, yeah.
As we know, failing was one of the themes and the modus operandi of some of the groups that came here in the festival, and they were there in their main interest to fail in the performance. They programmed failing, and for me it was very, very inspiring to see that failing can be programmed, and a theme of research. So this is one of the gains that I am living now with.
Yeah, for me also connected with the conditions and this, it was a very perspective for me, or to see that it's okay to not have the money for doing the theater, or it's normal, or then like a young artist, we all start at some 0 point, and for me it was very good to share this with all of the artists and you, and to see that it has to be happen like this maybe.
It was also very giving food for thought, speaking with all the group, with all these different backgrounds and starting points for the performances, because we are used to criticize and to feedback like I liked or I didn't like, but when we just deeply speak about what did the director wanted to say, and we have so many different answers and so many different perspectives, then even if you didn't communicate, yes, with a play, then you hear somebody else saying, but he wanted to do this because of that, and then you say, wow, this was a great idea. So yeah, I take things. I take more things of reading a performance with another person, with a younger person, or with a more experienced in production level, or So this was really fruitful and really, educating.
Yeah, and I think that it was very, very strong feeling for me to have discussion with the team, but not a discussion about the show or about the festival, because this was just a open gate to their reality, their problems. It was very honest in a way. I don't feel like we have formal discussion or we have polite discussion where we try to. I would need to add, promotion. It's not promotion. Yeah. It wasn't a promotion or somebody who want to be smarter than the others. No, it was just a very natural and very organic discussion about their situation, their ideas, their families. Even in our son show, they told a lot about his personal background, and we understand in a way better that show. And it's very interesting how I have one opinion about that show. We talk with the others, it changed in a way, and when we talk with the group, it becomes more complex and more interesting perspective that you can have it as a normal spectator, because you just see it, talk with your friends, and that's it. And it was very, very useful for me to open, like an onion, to peel off, yeah. And to look at all that peels, not to search for a core, yeah. To just look, there are a lot of peels, and they're into one thing.
I would also like to point out among the many milestones of these days, the moments when Matusz and Eleni presented their own journey, which was very interesting to witness, because Matusz here is the promoter of a new way of leading a theater school, and he let us into his laboratory, thinking and management, school management laboratory, which I think is representative for a new way of approaching theater education, whereas Eleni was a very food for thought approach, showing us how a path, not embellishing anything, showing us how you can start from scratch, how you can start against all odds, and still be lucky. And I thought a lot about their two presentations, and I think they were very, very important. Though they were among us, but sometimes when we live nearby someone, we don't see anymore the person or their contribution. So I would like to thank them for their total sincerity and for the fact that they lay on the table very, very honestly their journey, and I think this is very useful.
Speaking about the conversations that we were having throughout the days, I felt like pointing out for me that it's also something that is specially enabled by the format of a festival, I feel, because staying here several days together and diving into the performances and diving into the talks that we had, I really appreciated that even like 2-3 days after you have witnessed a performance, we were able to like speak about it again and look into different aspects of it, for as if I go to a performance by myself outside of a festival, maybe I don't get to go that deep, and then also like a few days after maybe think about the production conditions and how they added up to this kind of performance, and then reconnecting that to how our educational systems work and how the finance of theaters work. So I felt like that was really, in the format of a festival, really an opportunity to look at it from different angles and to give it the time in our brains to breathe also, and then come back like 2-3 days like, that aspect came to my mind. And then also to have the opportunity to to speak to some expert in the field, let's say, or somebody who's at a different point in their career, and ask like, well, you teaching actors, for example, how do you deal with that specific aspect that we were looking at? And I feel, yeah, that's a really great thing about theater festivals, that such a group of people is coming together and staying together also for a few days in an intensive manner.
And especially with people who have a keen attention to young artists in their own home country and home town, and being here for a festival of young people, young directors presenting their work, I don't know, it adds to all the things you can say about your work when you are yourself a young artist and want to come on stage and is starting to put words on what you do. It's not something that you can learn at school. It's not something that's given you when you start. It's always a very good starting point for yourself, and it always has an echo when you hear somebody who is about your age talking about what he does and how he presents it and how he finds the word to describe his word. I think there is like an open box tool that you can witness, and it's really cool to have everybody's eyes to make us look at what are the tools. And I think your presences, the presences of people in the artistical field, but in the, how do you call that, the teaching field, are really good for that, making us reveal the tools we have.
Just on this point, so we had, as we've mentioned, Philip mentioned, across the 3 days there were specific perspectives that we focused on. So the first day was with Matusz, specifically about education and getting into the theatre management. Then we had a discussion about the artist, the director as an artist in the field, and seeing how that works. And there were very interesting discussions about the specifics of what we learned in the education section, for instance. And Sik, you've mentioned something already, which is that, you know, it'd be nice to have more of the integration of the feedback into the education process. And Katarina, you've mentioned a nice point about, you know, when you see the details of another education system, you reflect on your own and you think, oh, we have lots of opportunities. And one thing that I thought, listening to you all, that came up that you mentioned was you spoke about not necessarily receiving during the education process training on communication, like how you communicate the work that you've done, not how you sell it, but how you connect to institutions and other organizations once you have created a piece of work. And that's something that would perhaps be very useful to take from this. And I'm wondering if you had any other things to add on to this, or any other specific concrete reflections that came from that education part of the forum.
One thing became clear, that only a very few of schools offer their students the opportunity to learn about how to promote themselves. So this was one feature that I observed, unfortunately.
Well, one thing that I certainly took, because at my school I'm a student representative, and I also work on the boards in our school, let's say, where we also try to reflect on the educational system and what is there and what isn't there, and how do we integrate certain things. And one thing that was very interesting for me, that despite the very, very different conditions, there are some very essential questions that occur in all the educational institutions, for example, especially the marketing aspect. And I found that also very fruitful to have several days to go back again, because sometimes also from our student boards, I know that if you come up with a certain need, and you feel like, okay, we do need that, we need marketing training in some sort of way, we need to learn how to sell themselves, then a few days later, moments later, maybe you get into okay, how could that be implemented? And then also what would we need to take out of the education if we want to put that in? And that is always I feel like a painful process, especially in institutions that deal also with things that have proven themselves to be useful. I mean, theater has a long history, and yeah, to get the chance to really sit with that and to discuss from different perspectives and learn from other schools that they are dealing with similar questions was very, very useful to me.
Yeah, I would like to add to that the way our school was structured was our graduates were prepared to be employees of state-run or sort of publicly funded and operated theaters, so they would be employees, and we focused on making them the best artists possible. but those jobs are not there anymore, or not in that numbers as the people are leaving the school. So I see sort of the necessity for, or it should be our mission also to teach them to be versatile in promoting their work, entering the job market, being able to self-produce, and not only relying on a sort of employment style job in a way. So yeah. But yeah, discussion is like how to get those things in when all of the schedule is filled with only sort of subjects focused on the artistic creation, and there's no space for anything else at the end of the day. Yeah.
One thing that I would maybe like to add to that is that, of course, during the discussions, we also noticed like how different the conditions are from country to country, also in terms of like financial, like budget things and everything. And for me, oddly enough, that also, for example, like I study in Berlin on a quite privileged school, I'd say. Still, the students throughout the art education, at some points you get that you are probably heading towards a quite precarious situation in your life, and there is, no matter like in what country or what school, at least in this context we're studying, there's this question of like, okay, how do I make a sustainable career for myself? How can I put myself in the field and still do what I like to do and be honest to myself as an artist, but then also be rational about the conditions that I'm meeting? And from that perspective, for me, it's sometimes hard to perceive myself as a collaborator and not as somebody like entering the field hoping to get a shot somehow. And that was also special for me, that in this festival, through the discussions, I felt like that self-understanding of a young artist coming to the field, that we are also collaborators for the institutions, like state theatre, smaller theatres, free structures, that there's also a need of young artists wanting to come, wanting to do the work at the institutions, wanting to bring their ideas and their creativity and their potential and everything. And that is also really like, yeah, it's really helpful, because then you can approach the whole process in a different way, and also understanding like, okay, what are the questions that the venues are dealing with, the state theaters, even like what are the things that they are thinking about, what are their limits also in what they can do and what they can't do, and what do they want to make possible, and what are their possibilities to do that. Is really helpful to like get on a level of, okay, we're future collaborators, and we can try to become on one level, as in like, okay, there's something that I bring to the table, there's something that you bring to the table, how do we get this together and create the future of performance, theater, whatever. So I think that these are dialogues that are very, very valuable and that are good for everyone listening, like, let's talk to each other.
May I? Hi, I'm Yannis Moschos. I'm the artistic director of the National Theatre of Greece. And I just wanted to say to the young colleagues, don't give up. That's the only advice. Grown up, to be an expert. Nobody's an expert. Nobody. We're all trying to find ourselves during a process as we grow older. So I think the main thing for you is, okay, yes, the marketing, yes, to go and to find the way, how to promote yourself, but the main thing is to be truthful to yourself and stick to what you want and try to be truthful to that. All other things will come. If you are there and say, yes, I want to be in this job, I want to do that, and not thinking, what would an organization want from me? That's not good for you. That's the only advice a grown-up can give. Be truthful to yourself.
Herr Director, I would like to thank you because you were present when we talked about one of the performances, Goodbye Lindita, and I appreciate it very much, you being there and telling us a little bit from your own point of view, the inside things, how you get to know, to take these performances. I think it was very useful to have a general manager or artistical manager and to tell us, okay, how I got to know about this performance, how I selected it, and the advice that you gave to the young creators on that day, I think that were important. You basically, I remember you told them, do your shit, but make yourself known a little bit. Make yourself known before you apply to an institution, because if people don't see your work, they don't know you, so they don't trust you. So I think that was a very interesting point to have in our forum discussions, not only the creators, but also the guys that trusted them in the end, but after a process, so it was not trust based on nothing. So I think that was an important moment also, your presence in the discussions. And it was a unique presence. I mean, there was no other directors coming, and it was very nice. Thank you.
For me, there was also one idea which was said by an actress named Annabella from Performance I'm Still Excited. She told that she thinks we are in some author's generation, so there's just like our individuality we want to reveal and also get better and everything. And she thinks that, and also I think that there's very important to build a network and to be connected and to be cooperators and to not give up together. So that was very important also for me.
And I think in all these days was in a way a question about scholarship, about young directors, about what you tell, about the talks with artists, that what type of theater we will do, what type of theater we need to be prepared for. And it was very interesting because it was a movement. It wasn't a topic put on table and let's talk about this, but it was present in every discussion. What type of theater we need to do for future? We are prepared for a future theater, for a theater that is from right now, from our actual lives, or we inspire from the past. It's very interesting because there are a solution, a clear answer. We need to do this type of theater, and I think that it was very nice that in this festival was a lot of types of theater, a lot of styles, a lot of idea, a lot of form of expression, and altogether that's the main, that's the core in this discussion. Just do it by yourself, like you think, like you see the world, like you imagine it. Just do it, and don't think a lot to be to be likable, to be cool, to be in a trend. Yeah, just do it and just focus on your environment. And I think that is very nice, this connection, this discussion to highlight this type of how to make theater. Because we are just talking, and I think in back of my mind there are some bricks that put all together and form a wall of how I saw from my lens this word. And I think it was very important, this layer of our discussion every day.
And speaking of types of theater, I just wanted to add that for me it was very interesting to find out that there's a lot of autobiographical theater on this festival, and maybe in Europe in general nowadays. I don't know if it's a generational thing or what, but yeah, it was very interesting for me to see that somehow the drama theater, or how to say, theater that is based on a text, somehow is coming to an end, or what? I don't know. Question mark, yeah. Question mark, yeah. Yeah, but yeah, all the performances still today. We have one more and in the afternoon, but all the performances was like autobiographical and devised, and yeah, just like observation.
Yeah, I would like to do the same observation. to say that all the performances had something really personal inside. And that's the common ground of what we saw, although they were so much different. And taking from your question of what theater do we like to do, I would just like to spread the question to everyone, not to have one answer, but just to speak about what did you feel that motivates you more, and what do you feel is your personal aim of keep doing theater or start doing theater right now? Because we should just add that we live in really strange days, dark days. We are really privileged right now speaking about theater and observing theater while people are dying somewhere close to us. So we have some reason of keep doing it. So I just pass the question, if it's okay, and give some topic to keep speaking.
Yes, I get what you say, Eleni, and it's true that you don't go out, you don't leave the festival, and seeing so many young people from other countries, you don't leave it without thinking about what you're going to do next or what are you going to work on. And of course it highlights some things, and you leave with some new emotions, and also you know where you've been touched, because we have talked and we have exchanged, and we could confront our visions. And you could also see what you were seeing, because we talked about what really affected us and what we really felt new or felt disrupting, and the way it was implying you. I really see that as a potential seeds for the future. So I would say I will leave that with that. There are some places of emotion and of silence that the things that I used to keep silent, that's starting to burst a bit at the surface. And I will live with that, I would say.
I would say that the answer must take into account the places where we come from, because the world is seen differently. And as far as I'm concerned, as a theater producer this time, of course, when you start a company, you have to realize what is your mission, or to have a hypothesis. And we grew up in a theater of the metaphor and the visual things and the text-centered, which I still believe in. And I think nowadays we are living in a time where everything goes in parallel. So they are not chronological development anymore. So different tendencies, opposite tendencies live in the same time and are possible. But in my theater, we try to promote the need to understand that there are two levels of presence in the reality. One is the presence of your country and political reality at a local level, which many theaters approach. They do, like we saw, le théâtre de quotidien, un théâtre kitchen sink theater. But there is another reality, and even in this festival, we saw that you can address the bigger reality, the things that are happening at a greater scale. And when you approach reality at a greater scale, maybe metaphor is a better way. So I still believe in a theater that engages people not directly, not in a pedagogical theater, not in a conference-like theater. Though I appreciate it, but I like very much. I think that metaphor is still a very powerful way of supporting a message. So this is our belief. So we are not in the théâtre de quotidien, but more like in a theater where the metaphor is still strong and the text is still strong. And I think, even judging by our own experience here in the festival, one of the most important, I think, performances that we saw last night was very powerful because it combined the two. It referred to a bigger reality, a higher reality. But it used also very metaphorical actions, very strong. So I think we are living in a synchronicity time.
And very specific facts.
Yeah. Yes.
I would like to add to the question that you posed. For me, when I go to the theater, the performances that stay with me the longest are the ones that I perceive as an experience. Obviously, that's what theater can do, that it doesn't provide us with information, but with an experience and with a shared experience, because I'm witnessing with what is happening with loads of people. So that is one thing that I'm really concerned about, because I think it's special. It's special for our time to be able to create a frame around a shared experience, and that I also encountered it throughout the festival, that sometimes, especially if it's like moving towards realistic scenarios, or even if it's like irrealistic, or there's things that obviously resonate with your own lived experience, and sometimes the things that you see on stage can also differ a lot from what you've experienced yourselves. And for me, that's sometimes moments where I strongly disagree with what I see in a way, because I'm like, no, that's not like that, or I couldn't access this like that, or it didn't feel represented in that way. So there's also strong potential for disagreement in theater, I think, and not just on the level of like us as theater associated people thinking about the craft or thinking about methods or thinking about this, but also like thinking and I feel like speaking from a moment of experience can also make us like emotional in ways. And I feel like that is something that is really important, and that I love about these theater situations and festivals, is that you get to speak with each other in disagreement on an emotional level, and I get joy out of that, actually. And I think that there's rare moments, becoming more and more rare, where we get the opportunity to be emotional with each other, to be irrational even maybe in situations, but still to go through the process. And there were many situations where also I felt like, oh, I couldn't have agreed with that, or I was like pissed off even and didn't want to have that conversation. But then I got into that conversation and I got like an insight from somebody else who really appreciated something where I was like repulsed by. And being able to work in a field where this is the thing that you can create and be a part of is something that I appreciate a lot, and even more in this international scale, because it's such a rare thing for all the people part of this festival to occur in one place. I would say it has never happened before and will probably never happen again. So that's really a special moment to have us all gathered here and share that experience. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree very much that the discussion is so important, and by sharing your experiences, your emotions, your ideas, you can also clean yourself, and that's what happened to me on this festival and on this forum, and I'm very thankful for that.
I just want to point out that you must remember that we did not only talk, there were very interesting silences between us that were even more revealing for us. So don't imagine that we talked all the time.
Something about me, as Philip says, but for the theater he's believing in, I'm not sure in which theater I believe in. Maybe in the theater that works, doing his work, no matter what kind of the theater is. If it works, it works, and I really love to see that in this theater. I really believe in it, because, you know, even in our schools, when we are reading a book, we are learning about some kind of rules. The theater has these rules, the post-dramatic theater has these rules, the narrative theater has these rules. But the thing is how we're gonna break these rules, because I noticed that every time we have a revolution in theater is when those rules are really broke, and make us have steps forward. So I believe in theater that really works for me. Yeah, this is something that I really got from this forum, because sometimes I'm from the projects that I'm doing in school, I have this script. I'm really strict to myself to be by the book sometimes. And here, I've seen so many different performances that works, and I felt free somehow.
Yeah, I feel the same in a way. I have a big background in math, and I'm very curious, and I like a lot of styles. I like a lot to know a lot of things. I like to read a lot of things, to see this type of political, this type of, I don't know. But after that, I think that beyond but theater happens, good theater, I don't know how to name it, happens beyond all that crafts, all that styles, all that skills, because yeah, you know to know things, because it's good to know things, it can be helpful. But I think that the hard part is to step not to step in front of all that knowledge and just to let it happen in a way, because if we are take a look at all that happened here at all the discussion that we have was very natural, it was very fluid, and I think that when I feel it, all that materials, all that my story, my message, all that craft things goes to an fluid material that communicate with people and to people and from people and beyond people. I think in that situation it happens good theater, even it's political, even it's a fantasy musical. It doesn't matter, and I think like you in a way to just slow it down, just stop it, to be very, very, very smart and very curious and very interested, and just stop it and let it be, let it happen in a way.
Just to add something, can I? Yeah, of course. Thank you. So I think it's a lot of times that I've already said, for me it's important that the play, the theater, the performance somehow moves you. I don't mean only emotionally, but also intelligently, or by giving you some new tools, or somehow make you think of, get inspired and make you think. So what I observed, and I'm happy to observe it, this is that although we quarreled a lot about some performances, like we, not quarreled, but we were separated, debating, yeah, and sometimes we were separating from younger generation and older generation, or by more, I don't know, classical perspective, or more contemporary. There were some moments in these performances that we saw that we were altogether moved. And this is really, you feel somehow relieved that when it works, somehow it works for everyone. And the other times it still works, but for other kind of audiences. But it's so relievable that sometimes it works for everyone, and this is, you know, for me it's something really nice to see. Yeah, just this.
Well, Lenny said what I wanted to say, basically, so I have nothing to say now. But yeah, the shared experience we had together, and the act of being moved at the end of the performance, as you said, emotionally or intellectually, I think it's the sign of a good theater. And it was interesting to see that, you know, it can be a very highly stylized visual spectacle, but it can be also a very traditional sort of, we said some, you know, it looked old-fashioned almost, but in a way the topic was so strong that it still managed to touch you, even though it might not be, from the formal side, the most innovative production ever, but it just goes deep into you, and you have to appreciate that. So yeah.
Maybe this would be a very nice point to go to the third point of our discussion, in terms of what we have discovered in the festival in terms of performances, because no matter what we thought about the performances, I think we can all point to some common themes that we found. I don't know if the Charlotte who selected these performances thought about it, but it's a very strange thing that one of the common features that we found to all performances was the theme of loss, which was present from the very first performance to the ones that we saw last night, which was assumed by the creators or not assumed by them. But there's a very, very strong feeling of loss that that everybody is concerned. What we have witnessed is surprising, and I don't know if Charlotte has realized this, but it's a very, very strong feeling and concern for the creators. All the performances have this aspect, and there are other things that we have noticed that are shared, though they were very different. What else, guys? Help me. Natalie.
My name is Joachim Klimt. I'm the artistic director of the Staatsschauspiel in Dresden, and I would like to share an impression and an experience. First of all, I couldn't be part in your discussions because I'm as well part of the jury. That means I have discussions in between as well. My impression is that I think it's wonderful that we could implant these first editions together with Charlotte and Yanis and Isabel, because we hopefully thought it might be helpful to open up a forum, and my experience is that if you share perspectives, it really open up new perspectives and new horizons for things which might be happened in the future. And we'll see what does it mean, but at least I would say something to you about your picture of the onion, the peeled onion. At least it's a little bit like Peer Gynt, you see, there is nothing in it except yourself. So you have to do your work, as Yanis said, and beware of that.
I feel like maybe that's a good moment to also like address the rest of the audience. If there's anything you don't feel the pressure. It's like, it's not on you, but if you feel like stepping in, and if you feel like there's a moment where you would like to join the discussion or share something from your experiences, you've also been part of the festival now from different angles, then feel free to jump in and take the microphone, just to invite you in if there's a moment where you feel like, oh yes, that's something that I would like to share in this moment.
About maybe a question, because it's not really a question that I have, but so I'm Isabelle Andrine. I'm from the National Theatre in Brittany in France, and first I really want to thank you for sharing what you've gone through, the conversations, the debates, the insight that you've been going through, because it's really what we believe is that how do we create spaces to share, to have a space for real artistic exchanges on a horizontal level, and this is the only way, I think, to start a sustainable career, if I take back your words. And for me, it's also a starting point, because the question is also, how do you go from the bubble of the educational community within which you are when you are a graduate student or during your, and the moment where you get out to the professional life. And I think this is also a starting point of our discussions with Charlotte, and this is bridging that gap. And so it's about, how do you create a new community, or how do you enlarge your community? And this is also, how do you decide, like we're saying, do your work? So it's, you are the actor also of creating the ecosystem that will be the one that you will. So we're talking about words like networking, community, and things like that, but it's actually the one that's going to constitute what the sustainable career. And in the word sustainable, it's always interesting to say, what does sustainable mean? It means it has social values, ethical values. It's also how do you break down time, and you're not in the speed, but having all those, thinking of what sustainable means today is also a way of to kind of breathe in, to develop that career. So I think creating these opportunities, and the second thing is really the place of festivals. I think for us it was so interesting to hear about your feedback and to kind of test the ideas, the hypothesis of saying, okay, what are the needs? I mean, the needs are to exchange, to be able to interact with different points of views, and the place for that is a festival has a very strong capacity of creating new communities and crossing different audiences. And also in festival, we say in France, like in festival there is fête and party, and that's very important because you need the informal moments of discussions to be able to bring this emotional debate, disagreement that I like very much how you express it. So I just wanted to really thank you and for this inspiring and sharing the what you're doing. And so maybe if someone, other audience, maybe.
Does this work? Oh, it does. Yeah, maybe I speak a little bit for our group, but we are students from Salzburg, Austria, and we study applied theater, which is a very young study. And so I think we in our studies question a lot, okay, how is theater now, and trying to find new ways and how to work autobiographical, documentarian, and it was very interesting, I think, for all of us to see different approaches now. This festival, things that are more explicitly documentarian than sometimes more hidden, and there were stories and let's say more classical theater atmosphere. And I think for us, like at least I'm super inspired because we have these conversations of okay, how to involve people, engage people from also outside of the theater bubble, but then also have the craftsmanship and what theater can offer. Like, I mean, we have, as you said, we have a long tradition, but and how we can take this, like all craftsmanship and acting, and then I don't know, find new ways to involve people and to make maybe, yeah. I think there's, as you said now, I think the drama text is going down. I also don't hope it's, but maybe to find new ways to combine things, to maybe giving a bit more reality into it, like a bit more presence. I think this is sometimes what I miss when I see like more classical spoken theater, that it seems so outdated a bit. Not everything, but sometimes, and I feel that's that was for me very inspiring here too. Like I saw shows that somehow had connected to me on different levels, not always in the same amount, but there was a presence, even though it was maybe texts that are very old that were used. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Maybe can I
sure.
go on with that? Because you were speaking about the education also, and you study applied. What is it called? Applied theater, and you also mentioned the educational bubble. I feel like, especially for the profession of the director, that's a really interesting aspect, because compared to the time that theater has been around, the position of the director is quite young compared to the 1,000 years of theater. And also the education, like in a university, the education of a director is quite young compared to other disciplines, because at least in Germany for a very long time, becoming a director was that you start from scratch, be an assistant and work yourself up in the reality, in the field, in the professional field. And for me, as somebody studying directing, I see a great value that there's this way on top of many, many other ways to become a director or to get in the field of theater as well, because in the bubble of education, there are different possibilities than just being in the professional field right away and learning from one director that you're assisting to, and then maybe being lucky enough to like do a little play on a backstage or something. So I feel like speaking about that, and also especially like stressing how outdated certain things seem, I feel like it's always good to like keep that in mind also, that it's somehow, it's like it's going very fast in a way, I feel, and that is something that I feel the universities are dealing with in a way, that there are some things that seem traditional in a way, but are not that old actually, and that there's coming new things on and on and on and on again. And I think that what we are witnessing right now in our time living, that there's like a big diversity of, okay, this is directing, this is applied theater, this is performance practice, this is physical theater, this is this, that we're really lucky to have that right now in our time, that there are still opportunities in a formal education, in a university, to follow your path on that level and not be in the industry right away. That it is an opportunity is what I'm saying. That I find that very important. So when thinking about like getting out of the bubble of university education and getting into the field, I feel like that's an ongoing discussion that I witness, like how early on should that happen in the education? How early on should there be links? And then, but what is also the value of not being under the pressure of doing a production that has to be financially successful in a way, right away in your first year, but being able to do it in a school. So that's an interesting subject for me, and I really appreciate that we are hopefully having the opportunity to reflect on that on and on and on again, because it's not such easy decisions, I feel like, that are being made there.
You want to go? Yeah.
Just to give a question that we continue. So 2 questions and you choose. First question is if there are any questions, open questions that you would like to do right now. I mean, also from the forum, some things that were not answered yet through our discussions. And the other one is, what do you take with you, finally, that you haven't already said?
I'm going back to my bubble with this thought of enabling students become more autonomous, and using this thing that I got here, that it's an old thought, but this has gained a confirmation. Okay, there are more and more specialities, directing, acting, but what we saw here was mostly directors who act themselves or actors who do directing. So I think, for example, in Romania, the school system is still very much separated, specialized. So a good thing would be to try to mix a little bit of things to make them be understood more holistically, not so separately, and to give students more autonomy.
Yeah, I would say it's also, while talking with Isabel yesterday, that the world is a bit open, and the world is ours to be plunged in, and that it's not because you start, because in France I feel like we don't have like talking to people from Norway or from Scandinavian countries or from Germany, even though we acknowledge the fact that you have courses in English, and that you have how do you say, the teachers, they say that maybe Norway is not there is only like 4 million, 5 million people. You should try to look abroad and look what's abroad. And in France, we are quite a privileged country, I would say, because there are a lot of safety nets for artists, and a lot of cities and a lot of way of doing theater, but in France. So I will also leave, I think, with the knowing that it's always cool to go to the international, and right now to go back also to the national to do this exchange between what you've seen and what you can keep and what you can also share after that in your hometown or home place.
One thing that I certainly take with me, especially from the conversations with the artistic teams that we had, is a multitude of very inspirational practical solutions for obstacles. I felt like I felt really lucky that they shared with us like things that occurred throughout the production process that could have held them back from doing it, and how they worked around. That is something that I take with me, that they were very brave and very frank in their choices, and very smart also with that. And I felt very inspired by that, how they dealt with many of the obstacles that they were facing on different levels. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Richard. I'm a recent graduate from UK in Aberystwyth. Now I live in London, and I've been coming to the festival a couple of times online, but first time in person. I was just curious because a lot of you, some of you are already working in facilitation context, and I also am working facilitation as well. Whether maybe one of you or multiple of you might set up your own festival one day like this in your home countries. I mean, I know most of you are working towards directing and theatre making, but I'm just curious if any of you are interested maybe in facilitating and then maybe setting up your own kind of event, and maybe in university and school context you might already have some sort of festival event yourself. Yeah, that's just something I'm interested in asking. Yeah.
So a little plug. We do have a festival at our school. So we've been doing it since like the 70s. It's called Istropolitana Project, named after the Greek or is it Latin name of Bratislava, the city. So it was Istropolis. And since the very beginning, it was about bringing theater from different countries, but student theaters, so from universities, performing arts academies, and basically to share. And in the 70s, during the communist times, it was probably like the only opportunity to see students and theaters from West in the Eastern Bloc. And we carry on with the festival. We had 23rd edition this year, 23rd? Yeah, 23rd. So the next edition is coming in 2025, and it's very important for us to provide a platform for students and young creators to meet, share. So in a way, we're kind of doing maybe a similar thing, but it's very inspiring to add these layers of working programs, forum discussions, etc., to really enrich the experience and to facilitate the sharing between the people, because we do discussions, but not in this kind of format. And I think it would serve as a great inspiration for the next edition of the festival at our school. So I'm really thankful for that, for the experience that we had here.
This is something I wanted to pick up on, because we've all had a very enriching experience, and it's been very interesting to hear from students in Salzburg as well, to know that there's 10 of us here and there's thousands of other students out there. So clearly, if other festivals, institutions wanted to do a forum like this, is there anything that it's been really valuable to have so many people from different countries, from different experience backgrounds, from different parts of the institutions? Is there anything else you think would be particularly useful to add if other institutions were thinking of doing a kind of forum like this?
I'm also a student in Salzburg, Mozarteum. I'm a Tanzanian by nationality, and I was I was so inspired, and I wanted to I just felt like maybe we can open a room for African parts of theater also to participate in this favor, best. For me, it's the best right now, the best festival. So I was thinking if you have also thought about opening the room for the Africans festival, because I think it's so nice. I have experienced European theater plays, but I also feel like it will be nice to get to share that and maybe get to to see different types of theater. So I was thinking about that. I don't know if is it a question or what. I don't know.
Just to add to you, I would make it even more diverse anyway. Not only a conversation with other places out of Europe, as you mentioned, but also in between of us, even more countries with different economical level, and also different people from other parts of minorities or parts of life. Yeah. Anyone else?
Yeah, I was just thinking I would have loved to have more events to come together, like officially, because I know actors or artists were around and you could have a chat, but I think people tend to not speak to the artists if they're not like into it somehow, and for me, it's very, very, a very important topic to like engage people to come to the theater, even though they are not that connected. So it's very nice that we have this conversation between professionals or going to be professionals. But I would really love to have more open spaces where people are engaged to join, to get in touch. To ask questions. Yes, I would have loved that.
Maybe for me, also one question came up. Because of our festival, we always choose our theme. We are selecting the performances in the schools. And I have a question maybe for Charlotte. If she had also some theme to choose performances, or if it was opened. Yeah.
Maybe on the process of curating and how a festival works, just to have a little details about how can a selection like that be thought.
If there was a specific thematic, or how did you choose?
Okay, my first rule or starting point is to go watching performances for some month and not thinking about criteria. Because I feel I'm 54 now. If I would try to establish criteria about the art of a younger generation, it just could fail, because it's not about my criteria. So I go looking and see what's happening, what's in the air, what people are working on. And technically, I'm doing, in a way, certain research the whole year over. So I'm checking festival websites and I'm getting application the whole year over. Then there are sometimes groups who had been invited to Fast Forward that spread the word and asked their friends or sent them just to send me emails. Then we have a call for proposal. That is the official part that goes out to all the theater academies and the directing departments I know. But on the same moment, I know that there are still so many things I don't know. So there are so many theater academies where like groups or collectives come out and they don't have on the website a directing department. So the whole range of different educational forms to reach them or to reach out is as well a new work every year, because you never know if you send the email to the communication department, if there is a person reading it and forwarding it. So I have to always to find new contacts, and then sometimes if I have the people, I just send it and I spread it and it works. And it's in the background, it's a kind of huge work of having an archive, to see as well from applications from last year to make a list whom I would like to follow, even if it didn't work out this year. So sometimes in the countries where people are not doing like it is a bit in the German-speaking countries when they graduated from school, and then it may happen that they just do 4 stagings in 1 year, so then it can be too late the next year, because the only rule of the festival is that it's the work presented should not be the more than the 5th work of a young director or a team after graduation and under professional circumstances. So, for instance, we don't, how to say, count the off productions. So where all drop in, nobody gets paid. This is not the professional condition. So these are just these few criteria. And of course, there is as well, I have a network, so people are sending me recommendations, and then at a certain point, more or less, latest point in March, I try to think about a composition. And every year it's different aspects. So because this is as well a concept that the festival should show a range of different approaches and aesthetics. The journalists often, now they stopped it, but often it starts a long time, what is the trend? So what is the new thing? And as you described it, thank you very much what you did this morning, just sharing what you discussed and what you experienced, because in a way for me it's the ideal situation that you can come together, you can exchange, and you have different opinions, but you that you catch this moment of sincerity. So the motivation of an artist to tell something and to open this space of experience for an audience. And this is maybe the most important thing at the end, that I have the feeling that it can make. It's a term by Dominic Drumgoole. He is a British theatre maker. He ran the Globe Theatre in London for some years, and he did write a book in the 90s about the new authors in British theatre. And in his book he described the thing that theatre comes to the world on this border between the artist and the audience. In German we call it the Rampe. So that and theater is not existing without the audience. So this is one of the most important things as well for me, that the production should provoke an encounter. And then it depends if the groups are available. You know, there are so many practical aspects as well behind, and how to say diversity composes. And sometimes as well, I learned last year, for instance, that these kind of worries of a curator, will it work? Can you transfer it to another country? So can you take it away from the context it has been produced for? And then you have worries, and suddenly the audience just hugs a production where you as a curator had been nervous if it will received in a good way. And so it's as well every year an adventure.
And Charlotte, I just wanted to rebound, but you said about, you talked about professional conditions that were the basic requisition and the basic thing you observe when you choose a project. But I kind of noticed during all the forum and the discussion that from a country to another, that cannot be that's not always the same way of processing. So do you englobe that in your vision, or is it more?
I don't know if I understand the question.
It's
really, because the thing I wanted to say is professional conditions means that at least the people who did it got paid. So that it's not like the I mean, it's no criteria of exclusion, you know, but just for this kind of technical process of counting. If it's the fifths, for instance, with the Portuguese production, if you count everything they did, I think it would have been the eighth, but 3 or 4 of them just did take place completely under the radar. So this is the only aspect. I would never say this if I see something, and I would never say, okay, if we invited and we are the first to pay the actors for the 2 performances here, and we don't pay so much, but then it would not be an obstacle.
I think Patrick from Serbia, he mentioned that this was his last chance because that was his 5th professional production. 4th, okay.
The 5th was, or he stopped the 5th, in fact.
Okay.
At BTEF last year, so it is his 4th, yes.
Okay.
Can I make an observation and also a question afterwards? Speaking about minorities or diversity, yesterday evening, we observed that we wouldn't have the opportunity to speak with women, the directors, and we changed it and we spoke today in the morning. And there was an observation that for me it was a firework in my mind, because we spoke with a Finnish director, and we discovered that even in Finland, women are not so equal as we would think about, and they are still in a process of things are getting better, but still she spoke about 3 female directors that are coming easily in her mind, directing in huge stages, and all the other are directing kids' performances, etc. So it was something I wouldn't imagine while speaking with her. And I would just like to question about the percent of the women, because it was a bit smaller, if it was because you saw many productions by men and less by women, if the percent was equal or it was just a choice.
I can't name the percent now, but it was not. So in a way, it was a choice. It was not that I saw less performances by women. In general, I would not say that it's. At least in my field where I'm doing research, I would say it's quite equal in a way. And it happened in the process of bringing the productions together that I suddenly realized, oops, it's only 2 women in 7 production. And then I was thinking about, and every person I said, I have only 2 women, then they say, yeah, but there are as well 2 queer, so where's the problem? So it's a bit about how to say, which criteria you follow or feel obliged to follow in a certain discussion. And then, because I had this shock next time when we set up the website, and then you have the direct pictures on the website, you scroll and you see, okay, it's only 2 women. So it looks in a certain way, but from inside it looks completely different. So I don't have this, or I didn't have the feeling that we have a problem of diversity this year. But if you only have 7 or 8 productions, you sometimes as well have, how to say, the problem, how many criteria for diversity you are you're able to follow. So, and I did not have the feeling that I would like to exclude someone of the productions of this year in favor of. And so there is, for instance, one female collective we try to come together for 2 years now. I hope next year it will work out. So sometimes there is these kind of processes when you just have to postpone something. Thank you.
Okay. So is there anything else anyone would like to add before we close? Yes. Yes, definitely. Thank you so much for hosting us.
I would just like to add one thing, or I would appreciate it so much when we could find a way somehow to continue this in direction of how we should continue this for the future, for others. Yeah, it would be great if we could find a way of exchange to make a plan for what to come.
That sounds like food for thought for the remaining moments in the after bar and for the rest of their time together. So yeah, thank you ever so much to the public for coming, to the live stream audience for being here too, to the Staatsschauspiel, to the National Theatre of Greece, the National Theatre of Brittany, and
to the ETC.
And to the ETC. Yes, I auto thank. And yeah, that would be the end. So thank you ever so much.